know, the fastest, easiest way to buy crypto. If you're just getting into Bitcoin, it's the perfect place to start. Hey guys, and welcome back to my show. Hope everybody is doing great today. This is powered by Icon Plus. So a quick news announcement for you. So in March, Icon's user-friendly DeFi project Balance will be released, a DAO platform that creates Icon tokens pegged to real-world assets like dollar, gold, and oil. Now, I want to say thank you to my sponsors, BlockFi. So I use them to earn up to 8.6% interest on my USDC. You can also get $250 up to that when you sign up. So I'd really recommend them. I use them. They're doing incredible stuff. Now, before I bring on my guest, who is a really good friend of mine, I also want to give a quick shout out to CoinFlip. So they're doing amazing work across the States to push Bitcoin mass adoption. They have over 1,000 ATMs and you can actually get 10% off transactions with them. So I will leave a discount code for you. Now, guys, if you are watching on YouTube, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss any of my fantastic guest. So joining me today is a really brilliant friend of mine, somebody that I think is doing amazing work in the space. It is, of course, Bitcoin Liz. What's up?
Hey, thanks for having me on once again. I really enjoyed it last time. And yeah, it's great to be back. Always fun to have a chat with you about crypto and everything that's going on in the world.
Yeah, it's good to chat to you. I feel like we both have really similar kind of perspectives on things. So it's really cool to bounce off each other. So this week has been absolutely mad. We've seen Tesla get in to crypto, $1.5 billion, on their balance sheet. So what do you think about this? Because before we jump into it, I just want to say that I've done a lot of videos about this on TikTok, right? And it's quite unbelievable how much negativity there still is towards Bitcoin. Yeah, like I get people saying to me all the time, it's not true, it's a scam. And I'm like, it is true. Yeah. They did put 1.5 billion in. Anyway, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So first of all, comment on that. It's always the ones who have negative thoughts about it. They probably are like regretting not getting into it earlier. So they're just, mad and spreading all this FUD. Because I mean, you on TikTok, you get so many views. You're like super huge. People find it interesting. So yeah, it's always that. The negative people, they are the loudest, but actually I think people are changing their mind, and specifically looking you at TikTok, it's amazing what you do. I think that's a huge part of getting people to know more about Bitcoin. But yeah, as you mentioned with Tesla and all that, really focus has turned towards Bitcoin, and no one can ignore it anymore. And I have like previously also in my latest video spoken about that. I have like old co-workers that I worked with a long time ago reaching out to me and asking about it. And so people are really interested. These are the same people that I spoke with them about Bitcoin like 2 years ago. They had no interest in it. So I think even though we still might hear the negative thoughts about it, people are actually really interested in Bitcoin. And a lot thanks to Tesla and Elon Musk being going out and saying that he supports it. If the world's richest man does it, I mean, that's really something to keep an eye on, I believe at least.
Yeah, I think you make a really interesting point. You have people who we knew from years ago calling up and asking us, how can I buy Bitcoin? So I kind of want to talk a little bit about that, because I often find that I have people that I went to school with. I have my friends' parents messaging me and so on, asking me how they can get in. And I often feel some responsibility and concern about onboarding new people into the space. I think that, even something as simple as sending Bitcoin from one wallet to another, I think has its complications. Understanding what a wallet address is, it takes some sitting down and explaining. So my concern is, number one, I don't have necessarily the time to sit with somebody and go through the whole shebang, So how do you do it? You don't really want to do it half-hearted, because then if there's a problem, they'll come back and blame you, if they get their funds stuck somewhere. Yeah. So what do you do when people ask you, and you obviously don't want to be rude and sort of say, I don't know, what do you do?
So actually, I have got the exact question that you're proposing now about asking, do I need a wallet? How do I actually send transactions? And one of my previous classmates from school, he asked about ETH, and he was like, "Oh, I paid this miner's fee. What is this?" So
Yeah.
as you said, it takes time to explain, and I'm not sure like what level they are at. They were asking about sushi and in sushi swap and all that. So I was like thinking that he has probably done a little bit research, but in the end, I think just what I do is redirect them to good pages that I find really simple to read about. I think Binance has like their academy that is super like easy to. So those are really for beginners and just good articles, because it takes too long time to explain. And at some point, they have their own responsibility to do their own research about it, like and understand. So linking to good material is what I do, and then of course try to explain as good as I can with my own words. But yeah, it's difficult, but I don't feel that we have the responsibility to do that. Of course, we can just encourage them and get into and read more about it. Like, this is really interesting. If you understand it, it's super cool. But go and read here, because I think it's important that they read with their own words and get their own understanding. That's my thought on it, at least. How do you do?
Yeah, I mean, it just terrifies me, honestly, because when we had that initial bull run earlier this year, I had a lot of people asking me how to get in, and I think that's fantastic, and I do really, really want to help. But to get somebody in who knows nothing is really a matter of holding somebody's hand. And number one, that takes time. And we've all got sort of like jobs to do and so on. But I'm just a bit afraid of something sort of going wrong and it being my fault. Because, I had somebody say to me, here's like a general example. Someone asked me a question, what exchange would you recommend? So I thought, okay, well, Gemini's really cool. Try out Gemini. They're really cool. Check out Luno, whatever. And I think they went for Gemini just because they knew the Winklevoss twins. So they were like, cool, we'll go for Gemini. And I said, great. Then they asked me, what do you use? And I said, well, I use this platform. And they said, well, why are you using that? And I'm using this. And I was like, oh, that's where we're going to have a problem, because a lot of the time, people who are already in the space aren't using those kind of on-ramp and off-ramp exchanges. They're using things, let's say like crypto.com as an example, or BlockFi as an example. It's different because that takes, I think, a level of understanding. It's not like your first port of call when you get into crypto. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm still trying to work it out. I'm just, and then I think the same person sort of asked me like, it's asking me to do like a wire transfer. What is that? And I'm like, well, if you don't know what that is, I can't help you. I get afraid. I just don't want to be held responsible, essentially.
Yeah. I agree because the interesting part is that I think now the friends or old friends that have contacted me lately, they are not interested in Bitcoin. They're asking about other alts that are not discovered. And that makes me like a little bit afraid, because they're like, okay, is there anything else you can recommend? I'm like, I have just told them, like, take a look at ETH. It's easy to understand, but they're like, okay, but is there anything else you can recommend? I'm like, no, you have to look on your own. What do you like? What you need to like the project. You need to understand it, and then you can invest. But so that kind of advice I don't want to give either, because it's risky, especially for those who are not that involved in crypto. And for them, it's maybe just enough that I mentioned one project. They're like, okay, this said this, I'm gonna go in, and not even read about it, what they do or anything. So yeah, it's tricky. It's because you don't want to be rude as well, as you said, but you don't want to give them too much advice that they can later come back to you and say like, hey, this is your fault. Yeah.
I think you make an interesting point. Like, everybody's looking for that low cap gem. That's just going to go, they're looking for that Doge, or they're looking for that. I think UMA was up over 100% the other day. For me personally, I sort of turn around and say, look, like, for me, I see Bitcoin as that long-term store of value. I think ETH is really interesting. I do believe it's undervalued right now. So I'd say check that one out. Everything else, I believe, is very much to do with how you feel about that project, and whether you like the fundamentals of the project or not. And then you can do your own research from there. And everyone's sort of like, but Bitcoin's too expensive. I had a friend actually text me, and she said, Layah, shall I get Doge? It's so cheap right now. Tell me, I'll do it. I'm like, wow. How do you respond to that? How do you respond to somebody asking if they should buy Doge over Bitcoin?
You just say like, yeah, sorry, I can't advise you on that. I don't know. It's tricky. But the point that you made with that everyone thinks that Bitcoin is too expensive. I experienced the same thing with one of my old coworkers, and he said like, I'm not. He was like completely sure I'm not getting into Bitcoin because it's too late now. It's too expensive. So I'm gonna find the other ones. And this was the same day when Elon Musk went out and said that he supports Bitcoin on Clubhouse. And I was just like, think you will go into Bitcoin the same day or the same time as Elon Musk. So you're not too late. But yeah, there's a lot of newcomers who think that way. Right? And yeah, and then they want to go for Doge or something else that you mentioned. So yeah. It's crazy.
But newcomers and like retail investors aside, it's been a really interesting week. So I've got a list here. So actually, I don't have a list here. I have it somewhere else. But I do have Mastercard written down. So Mastercard is a really interesting one because they, I believe, have confirmed that they will start allowing people to actually use cryptocurrency on their network. So we don't know which cryptos yet. From my research, I believe it's going to be very much stablecoin focused. Which is cool. I think that's really cool. I think people in the space that will have cryptocurrency to spend, or people that will have cryptocurrency to spend will be people in the space who therefore don't really want to be spending their Bitcoin. So having it stablecoin focused will be really cool, but it's down to the merchants and whether the merchants want to accept Bitcoin. So what do you think? Do you think the likes of Starbucks, your everyday coffee shop is going to be down with this?
I mean, yeah, now with the Mastercard news, of course, I think there might be, now it seems more likely that it can happen. At some point, I thought it was quite far away, but it will be interesting to see what the Mastercard thing actually will mean. And as you said, which cryptocurrencies they will support. But I think it's closer than we think. Yeah, for sure. You can do it already now with some crypto cards that you have so why not? I think it can be doable, of course. But it's going to be really interesting to see exactly what it means and what they have planned with the crypto part actually. Because now they haven't come out and said really much, right? They just said that they're gonna.
No. So so what we know is that it's definitely not going to be like a crypto card like we currently have. So I think Mastercard are the ones that have partnered with the other crypto cards like WireX and Uphold.
Oh.
So it's not going to be a matter of just when you like top up your card, it changes to fiat. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be actual crypto. And I think that's insane. And I'm personally just so excited to see what this means. I think it adds so much credibility to the space. Like I said, so let's just like take Tesla versus this Mastercard news. I understand that they're different, but I really think the Mastercard news is actually bigger just because it means something to the average day person. So, okay, Tesla kind of solidifies Bitcoin as that store of value and it gives it credibility. But what does that mean for your friend that's not in crypto? Well, it doesn't really mean anything because some people don't want to buy Bitcoin and have it as their store of value. They don't even think they need a store of value. But and then also and then also in terms of like actually paying, I think this Mastercard news gives crypto an even stronger use case for those outside of the space.
Yeah, that's a really good point. When you put it that way, it totally makes sense because as well, like everyone has at some point had probably a Mastercard credit card, so they can relate to that. With Tesla and Elon Musk, I know there's a lot of people, at least like in Sweden, and who think he's a little bit crazy, like a little bit special. So they can be like, oh, it's just because he's like that. But at the same time, I don't buy that that argument at all. But that can be something. But as you said, Mastercard adds a lot of credibility, and probably is maybe a bigger news. True, very true. And also another. I'm not sure if it's confirmed yet, but BlackRock is it at least like
they bought, didn't they? They bought a few weeks ago. Yeah, I think they did. They bought a few weeks ago.
Okay, so now maybe it is confirmed. So I think more and more like investment companies and like that will probably see it as a like natural way to go as well, and that will even add more credibility to Bitcoin. So it's I think the fact that we are dark web internet money, it's just forget about it. Now there's too many things pointing the other direction, and there's something for everyone that they can relate to and understand. Why exactly. it is good.
And somebody's just put in the comments. Someone just put in the comments. I'll put it up on the screen actually. Somebody wrote what are the tax implications if we use crypto to buy a cup of coffee? So that's actually a really cool question. I honestly don't entirely know, but I think that's going to be something that will have to be solved. I think the tax topic is still really complicated because it's different in every I was going to say state, I'm not even American. It's different in every state, it's different in every country, it's different in every jurisdiction. What I think in terms of the way that I do it, I guess if you get paid in Bitcoin, you would naturally write down, or you would account for every single payment that you've received. And then if you go buy a cup of coffee with Bitcoin and it costs you X amount of Satoshis, then you would have to obviously record that. But then again, if it's your I guess if it's your personal money, then and you've already paid tax on it, then it doesn't matter. But then I guess if there are the capital gains and you're holding your money in Bitcoin, it does matter. I mean, I couldn't tell you. I absolutely don't know. It's still something I'm learning myself.
I think because now, for example, I have the Plutus card, and if I use it here in Sweden, I need to account for every transaction I do with it. So there is more work with it. So probably, as it looks like right now, it would be the same in most countries for this Mastercard thing. But assuming how big they are, they would probably think about a better solution that is easy to use for everyone, because otherwise it kind of loses its purpose. People don't want to have more work to do or more accounting to do because they want to use crypto on their Mastercard.
And also, it is stablecoin based, so I'm not sure how the implications will be. Given if it is pegged to your local currency, then it will be like using your local currency. But also BNY Mellon, so they're actually the oldest bank in America. I know a couple of people that used to work there. So they are now able to be Bitcoin custodians. So this is interesting because it kind of plays off against the narrative, not your keys, not your coins, but then at the same time, new people getting in, especially the kind of clients that BNY Mellon would have who come from a more traditional kind of background, might prefer to have their cryptocurrency in the custody of somebody else. They don't have to have that responsibility. So in terms of, let's just talk about mass adoption, because I kind of feel like this is what it is. How do you think that's going to go? Do you think that people are going to feel they don't really want the responsibility of holding their own keys? Do you feel that having these custodians coming into the space is actually quite a healthy thing for adoption?
Good question. I think that if you look at how it is today, the majority of people, they trust the banks a lot with all kinds of information about this. So I think naturally for the bigger mass, they will probably don't want to have access to or be the ones responsible for their keys. That's just an initial thought. But the whole idea with crypto, at least we who are here now, is that we should be the ones responsible for it and the ones who have responsibility for it. So I think there will be probably two parts to it, depending on how deep you are into it. I don't know. I haven't actually thought about that so much. Interesting. What do you think? How it's
I can't help but think that those people that would be with clients of BNY Mellon's would appreciate having their cryptocurrency in their custody. I can't help but think that. And that's not just their own clients, but I think it's the majority of people. And I think if we look at the way society votes, if we look at the way society is run, I do think people, a large majority of the population definitely enjoy a lack of responsibility over certain sorts of things. And I can understand that when it comes to your finances. I think it's really scary, to think, well, I am actually responsible. I need to remember the seed phrase. I need to remember my private keys, my public keys. I need to have it written down, or do I not want it written down just in case? Do I keep it in my head? What if all these different things? And I can totally understand the why that's scary. I mean, if I'm really honest, I often find I don't even like, so I use 2FA, obviously, but I don't really like it. I'm just concerned that I'm going to have an issue with my phone or my laptop. And I know there's ways to recover it. They have like the equivalent of a seed phrase and so on, but it still freaks me out. And I think in terms of mass adoption, that is going to be the kind of way we're going to see things go. I don't think people will be like you and I and be like, not your keys, not your coins.
Yeah, exactly. Then we can see, of course, just with the regular passwords, how many people forget those. I mean, it's normal. We do it, So yeah, probably will go that way. That's and I think people will be fine with it. They probably just would want to have a part of like crypto as an asset and don't care about having the ownership or the responsibility of the private key.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Because if you think about it, the everyday person isn't investing in the stock market. It's just not happening, right? A lot of people are talking about, a lot of people are waking up to this kind of idea of inflation and, okay, well, you should be investing in the stock market then. But your average person doesn't do that. So I feel like cryptocurrency, the altcoins will sort of, I think, fare in an equivalent manner in that people don't really choose. The average person who doesn't know how to trade won't necessarily play around in those markets. But in terms of having an appreciating asset, then I definitely think people will be choosing Bitcoin, and I don't think that they're going to care whether it's in the custody, I can't even say that word today, the custody of themselves or a custodian. I don't think they're going to care so much. But let's talk about ETH, because you are bullish on ETH as always. So give me your thoughts on ETH's price this week. It's nearly hitting 2K.
Yeah, I think it will. First of all, I need to check the price now. What are we at now? Oh,
probably 1.6 or something.
1.781
actually. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
around that.
So definitely, I think we should reach or hit 2K very soon, like this week for sure. And after that, I still think ETH is sleeping like hell. I don't understand why we don't take off yet, but I think it will definitely happen. Even though, I mean, Bitcoin might go down and ETH might like go up. I still think that ETH is sleeping totally, because just if you think about everything that's been going on around DeFi, ETH needs to be involved in that, and that's where everything is built now. I know many are like very critical towards ETH because of the gas fees, that they're really high, but
it's insane.
Honestly, there's it is, but at the same time, there's so much going on, and there's so many gains being made. So just everyone needs a fast way to transact. So then, they are willing to pay more. So if you have a transaction that is worth like millions of dollars, then a $50 ETH fee, gas fee is not that like significant. It's because they need to have it fast, and that's when they're willing to pay more. And when it comes to everyday transactions, smaller transactions, I saw you posted about Binance and their pancake swap as well. Yeah. That can be like a replacement for ETH when it comes to these smaller transactions, everyday transactions that are super cheap, because basically what they've done, they have copied ETH, but it's just much cheaper. So I think that part can solve the part that everyone is so critical about when it comes to ETH, why it's so expensive. Because for the big transactions, it's not expensive. People are willing to pay that. For everyday smaller transactions, yes, I understand that people are a little bit angry about the gas fee, but then we have pancake swap for that instead, for example.
Yeah, I think you make a good point. Those gas fees are pretty insane. I actually tried to send, I didn't try, I did. I sent about $70 and in USDC, maybe, I don't remember. And I think I paid $22 in gas fees, which is totally unacceptable and is literally theft. So my kind of analysis and perception on all of this is I definitely see value in ETH. I think it's undervalued as it is. Like I said, there's like you said, there's a huge need and narrative for decentralization, particularly when it comes to apps. Yesterday, YouTube took down one of my videos for absolutely no reason. Oh. Yeah, we can talk about that. Remind me to get into that. We can talk about that. So they took down one of my videos. So there's a need and an argument for it. I just wonder whether there will be other networks, other chains, whatever blockchains that will just do it better. I wonder whether it's kind of like Ethereum is this, let's just call household name. I realize it's not a household name,
Yeah.
but they've gotten to a place where it's Ethereum, and they've built a name for themselves, and it's the go-to protocol. Everything's been built on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wonder if something else, I don't know, like Tomo chain or something like that could come along, Binance chain, all these different things could potentially come along and take over. I don't know. I just think those gas fees are theft, in my opinion.
Yeah. When you put it that way, of course, they seem like theft, but I think in the long term, it won't matter because people will still continue to transact with it. The big transactions, I think will be done there. And still, I think the important part with ETH or Ethereum is the community. It won't go anywhere. People are so like hardcore building, and I think that matters a lot. Of course, there might come other solutions, but they're probably not going to take over ETH, so to say. Probably there can be better solutions, of course. But I think it's like with Bitcoin. Everyone knows about it. It's impossible to it's impossible to take over. And I think we're a little bit in the same situation with ETH. But as said, people can use other possibilities for those smaller transactions, so they avoid the high gas fees. So it's just you have other options. You don't need to choose or use ETH for those smaller transactions. So I think it won't disappear anyway, but I completely hear how frustrating it must be if you send like $60 and you pay $20 for in fee. That's insane. That's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty mad, and I'm just hoping, and I'm sure it will come. Something will solve that. I mean, we're waiting on ETH 2.0 kind of still, so we'll see how that goes. But in terms of mass adoption, then, right? So Bitcoin has that narrative for it being a store of value. I think at this point it's easier to sell to your friends and your family. Pick Bitcoin. It's Tesla picked it, so it's obviously credible. But how does one sell ETH, right? Like, it doesn't hold that store of value narrative. It just doesn't. Somebody that I used to work with always said something which has always stuck with me. He said that Bitcoin is digital gold, and then ETH is digital. Well, I say digital, that doesn't work. It's like digital Amazon. But it is a form of, and it is like Amazon. I think those are that's the two best comparisons that I can give. So it's really hard to sort of sell that to somebody. Because why does my friend down the road care about DeFi? Why does she care about DeFi? I can understand why those in more developing countries that don't have the kind of financial infrastructure that we have would definitely appreciate being able to, lend, borrow, and all these things that decentralized finance can offer. But I don't know how you're supposed to sell that narrative to the average person, other than the decentralization narrative and the need for dApps and stuff like that. Other than that, I can't work out how to sell that. How would you do it?
Yeah, so I think to understand it properly, as you said, probably the average Joe on the street won't get it in the same way. You kind of need to have an interest for maybe finance and know how things work in order to be able to understand what possibilities there are with ETH. So definitely, it's not that easy to sell in as Bitcoin. I agree with that. But if people have interest for finance and how all that works, I think it's like they will understand it right away. Because basically, what ETH is, it's programmable money. It's super cool if you think about it. It's insane.
But I'm just going to jump in though, because when what's her name, J.K. Rowling, God, as if that just slipped out of my head. When J.K. Rowling was like, "What's Bitcoin? Can someone explain it to me?" People use that term. It's programmable money, and she's like, "What on earth does that mean?" But literally, like, what does that mean? You know. Like, how do you break down the term programmable money?
Yeah, that's one topic in itself. But if you think about it, it's just what everything is. It's just a line of like code basically on the blockchain. It's not more than that. I don't.
I always settle for the Amazon argument, the way like you can do all sorts of things on Amazon. You can watch movies, you can buy books, you can get a Kindle, you can buy all sorts of different things. I think, does Amazon have music now? Do they have like a Spotify equivalent? I think they do.
Probably, yeah. I'm not sure.
So that's kind of like, Yeah, I think they do. I'm not sure. But that's the best way that I explain it when I say programmable money. I'm just sort of like, you can program it to do many different things. That's the only way I can put that forward. But I know that narrative didn't stick with J.K. Rowling very well.
Yeah. So what I would ask, like instead, like what is fiat money then? If we think it's just a bunch of numbers on a like spreadsheet, that's all it is. It doesn't have anything behind it. Nothing. It's just people type in numbers on a spreadsheet. That's all what it is. So at least with Bitcoin or Ethereum, well, Bitcoin specifically, it's programmed. We know there will only be 21 million. There are specific ways to acquire it. There are specific ways to transact it, and yeah, I mean, it's so much more secure. No one can tamper with it, and all that. So I guess maybe that's a way to explain it, that program money, it's a secure. No one can tamper with it, but regular money, it's just a bunch of numbers without what you can manipulate as easily as you want to. I don't know, maybe that's that's the way to put it.
Yeah, no, I get that. And I think this I say this year, I think last year and this year is definitely one of the most amazing kind of use cases, or sorry, case studies even, to show somebody in terms of manipulating the price of money, printing more money, and all these sorts of things. And I think that idea of, you know, having that hedge against inflation, because even when you look at something like gold, there's always more gold to be mined. And I think that the value and the scarcity obviously comes from the fact that it's scarce and it's difficult, right? Like you literally need to, you can go, you know, you have to go into the sea, you have to go into the ground. There is enough, I read, enough gold up in the sky or down in space, wherever you want to put it, up, down, everywhere, on an asteroid to make everybody on Earth a billionaire. But the interesting part of that fact is that if we then had access to all that gold, the value of it would just drop anyway. So there's really not enough to make everybody a billionaire. But anyway, I'm going on one. But that's kind of the argument that I always put forward, and that's kind of why I never understand people like Peter Schiff, for example, who just can't get on it. I don't get it. I don't know whether it's a generational thing. I'd like to think not. Something that I saw somebody say the other day, I can't remember who it was. I have no idea who it was. Maybe somebody in the comments will tell me when I say it. But they said something like, the next generation, or even our generation, right? We find more value in things like Spotify than vinyl records and CDs and things like that. So looking at Bitcoin and gold, I think it's kind of going to be like that. I think it's a generational thing where if you're trying to explain Bitcoin as a digital store of value to the next generation, then I think they're going to be able to understand Bitcoin better than gold, particularly just given how easy it is to store, it's portable and so on.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think that gold is like a bad investment. It is good, but it's nearly not as good as Bitcoin in my case. But with Peter Schiff specifically, he's like completely rejecting Bitcoin, which is that's like the weird part about him. But there's nothing wrong about like having gold as a store of value, because it's a good store of value. It's all right, nothing wrong with that. But his case is a little bit funny. And the funniest part is that his son is like super into Bitcoin, and so I mean it's probably a generational thing with him, at least. I do think like that, because I do see other like older relatives that I have, they have really difficult time to understand Bitcoin. But with gold, it's like, yeah, you understand it. So at some point, I do think that it is generational, but at the same time, everyone can do and read and learn more about it until they understand. But it's just a little bit more difficult, and I think it's natural that it is that way.
I mean, do you know what's really funny about it? It's not just the likes of Peter Schiff who reject it, but it's also people that just don't understand the value in it and why we think it's so amazing. So, like, I'm going to take my dad as an example. When Tesla bought 1.5 billion, I turned around to my dad and was just like, "Can you believe it? Like, they've put this much money in," and he was like, "Oh, okay. So when are you selling?" And I'm like, this is the time to hold. This is when you hold. This is when people FOMO in. I'm like, what do you mean, when am I selling? And he's just like, well, you know, things go up and down and you don't want. I'm like, this isn't the stock market. This is different. It's that narrative, and it's not. I just don't think it's really hitting home to some people. I don't know. Have you, what experiences have you had with your family? Have you also found that it's not quite hitting home?
Yeah, I guess so. My dad gets it quite well, I think, but he's not at that point that he would invest in it because he doesn't understand it that much. So I would say I'm a little bit the outsider in my family who wants all in or in crypto. But of course, they are like very supportive, and they understand the basics, I would say. But they probably wouldn't be able to explain the difference between Bitcoin and ETH to some of their friends or like that. But when it comes to I lost my thread. Well,
no chain of thought. That's all right.
Yeah.
I want to go back to Tesla, to be honest, because I want to just talk about what you think that means for the space. So who do you think is going to get in next? So I've been reading a lot into this. I know that Apple are rumored to get in next. That's according to I think it was the Royal Bank of Canada. So they're rumored to get in next. Twitter's CFO said on CNBC today that they aren't necessarily looking, sorry, not Twitter, Uber's CFO said on CNBC today that they aren't necessarily looking to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet, but they are considering people accepting payments for in crypto for rides. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's, well, first of all, because Tesla is the role model probably for many companies, and so many CFOs probably are scanning around what are other companies doing, and they see, of course, also MicroStrategy, like how much gains they have made after they put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So of course, now they need to look into it. It's their responsibility to look into it. If we see that there are companies that are doing this, that are successful, of course, they need to do it. I mean, if they don't do it, they're not good CFOs, I would say. And I think, of course, as well, it's easier for companies like Uber, who are, I mean, they are digital, so they kind of understand probably the product better as well. So more companies like that will, I'm sure, look into it. And Twitter, of course, we know that Twitter's previous CEO is a Bitcoin fan, so that was quite imminent. But probably more like big unicorn startups will look into it, I'm sure, because they also have the pressure now from shareholders and others for them to perform well. So they need to take the responsibility and look into it. That's definitely how it is.
I think a key word there is responsibility. Actually, it's a really good word to use, because these companies do have a responsibility for their shareholders to be putting their money in the correct place. And Bitcoin is now something which people sort of agree can't be ignored. You know, if the richest man in the world, is he the richest man in the world? I'm not sure. I think that keeps fluctuating, like Bitcoin's price. But I don't know. He is for a minute, and then he's not, and then he is, and then it's up and down. But you know, if they're putting it on their balance sheet, then I can imagine when that was announced, you probably had like CFOs running around like opposites, just like, oh my God, what do we do? Like, should we be copying this? Should we be doing the same thing? I think it's insane. But another really interesting topic that I want to get your thoughts on is regulation. It's a really cool topic I like, because there's kind of this push and pull in the community between regulation being necessary to take Bitcoin to the next level, and then but also what about freedom and you know, people's anonymity and like forget KYC and all this stuff. So when I spoke to Raoul Pal, and he is I don't want to say he's a fan of regulation. It's not really the point. He's more talking about the importance of it to take Bitcoin to that next stage. He sort of says, if you want Bitcoin to become that asset, that store of value, that currency, or whatever you want to call it, that major players are using, more regulation is going to be necessary. So there hasn't been a change in regulation yet. Bigger players are getting in. So where do you stand on regulation and its necessity to take Bitcoin to the next step?
So in general, of course, regulation means it's not always good, but I think it's also necessary, as you mentioned before, that it will be a natural part, because now Bitcoin is getting big, billions of like in corporations are investing billions, so it will come. I mean, if you want it or not, it will come, and at some point it will do good as well, because then other companies will see that, okay, now it's actually regulated, now it's secure to invest in it. Probably they will think more that way. And so yeah, I think there's both good and bad to it. We who have been in this space for a long time, and we've been here and enjoying all the freedom that we have, we're probably not super big fans of it. But I think there will, of course, parts that really see that this is what they need in order to get into it. So yeah, I think they're both good and bad. But for Bitcoin to become like really global and really like a normal part of a company's portfolio or a balance sheet, I think it needs to be regulated. Yeah. Yeah, there's two parts to it. I can't really take one or the other side. I don't know. Because
I think,
of course, it's nice to.
Yeah, go for it. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think it depends on what we want Bitcoin to be. Well, that was kind of always my opinion until more people start getting in, until this week, really, until Tesla and BNY Mellon. BNY Mellon are one of the most reputable, oldest banks in America. So I find that fascinating. I really do. Because you see, there's a difference, isn't there, between Tesla and BNY Mellon? Tesla's this like new digital kind of like company that does things in a futuristic manner. So it makes sense. It makes sense, you know, given who Elon Musk is and the things he's interested in and all that. But to have such a traditional bank take such a leap, so it is really cool.
Yeah, I agree. It's super cool. But then as well, I don't know if you saw, I think it was earlier this morning, Christine Lagarde went out and said that that central banks having, okay, now this, we're not talking about a central bank, but still it's a little bit in the same area, that it's out of the question that they hold are going to be holding Bitcoin. And that's actually like really, I don't know how we will come across that or buy that. But those are central banks, so that's not the same thing, but still we do have some challenges to get through.
There are a couple of questions I want to just answer. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to throw them now. I'll answer both of it. I'll give this to both of us. So somebody says, do you think Bitcoin will stay above 40K from now on, or do you think it will drop back to lower levels? Do you want to go for that, or do you want me to go for it first?
I can go first. So I think staying around 40K is that we will do that for some time. So now we are around 47. I think we might drop a little bit lower but definitely above 40 for some time. But then we might hit bear market again very soon. Depends on how this alt season is going. But it's difficult to say. At some point, as I mentioned, that I have people who were absolutely not interested in Bitcoin before reaching out to me. It's kind of also a little bit of a bearish signal for me, because now it's like everyone is in. Is this the top? I'm thinking, sometimes I'm thinking Tesla got in. We have more and more companies joining. Is this the top now? I mean, we don't know. It might be. It might be. At least, that's what I think. So sometimes I don't want to spread any FUD, but I'm thinking of it like that. What are your thoughts?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think things are just heating up, honestly. Can Bitcoin drop below 40K? Yeah, of course you can drop below 40K. But will it drop below 30? I am less sure about that, given how we saw, what was it, like in the 30s for, was it a month or 3 weeks or something like that? It felt forever. But I think, that there's a lot of support between 30 and 40K. Which makes me feel really optimistic about those price levels. Regarding 40 plus, it's impossible to say. It's absolutely impossible to say. I think in my opinion, the only reason why we are nearly at 50K right now is because of Tesla's Tesla's investment. So we will have to see whether that holds. We obviously saw there was a bit of a dip yesterday. We'll have to see how that holds. But in my opinion, this is not financial advice. But I think 30K could potentially be the bottom, and we're kind of here on up from there. Here's another interesting question. Actually, wait, I'm going to ask another one first. Someone just says, what are your thoughts on NFTs? I know you're a fan of NFTs, Liz.
Yeah, well, I think it's super cool because we do see a lot of activity from influential people when it comes to NFTs. We have
Is it
Mark
Soldier
Cuban.
Boy? Soldier Boy's got one, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. I haven't looked into that, but yeah, I saw him tweeting something about it, I think. But we had Mark Cuban. He was doing like short videos. Kind of NFT thing, I think. Who else do we have? What is it? Paul Logan? Is it Paul Logan? What's his name?
Logan Paul. Logan Paul. Has he got an NFT? Logan Paul's got an NFT.
And I'm not sure but he was into that. He was actually like talking a lot about that. And who else? We had someone else as well, like Hollywood star.
Don't tell me Lindsay Lohan's got an NFT.
I think she has.
I think she caused the dip yesterday, if I'm honest.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, definitely. I think she has an NFT actually. Me and Ivan were discussing this yesterday. Let's see. I think she actually has an NFT. So I think this is amazing that like influential people are seeing the use case of it. I think it's super cool, and especially because this is something everyone wants to, collect something, either what is. And this makes also like a physical product, like I have paintings or something. It makes it more special, because you kind of have a specific thing that is connected to that, what you can follow. So I think it's super cool. And I think this is also something that people will understand because, we have Pokemon cards. What are all the things that people are collecting? So this is just to have it in a digital way. So I think it's actually super cool. And I think it will probably only grow, especially seeing now all the activity and people are getting, celebrities are involved in it. So I'm a big fan of it. And I think it will definitely be a part of like everyday collectibles in globally.
I think NFTs. So I'm really kind of like drawn with NFTs. I'm kind of like torn, in two different places. So firstly, I totally understand the need to put things on the blockchain for authenticity purposes. So I totally get, putting like products, let's say like designer handbags, ornaments, paintings, and things like that, giving them, tokenizing them, giving them a place on the blockchain. And then for sure, okay, well, number one, it's history, which is really important when it comes to different things. Like I know, because my brother's a big fan of watches, I know that no two watches have the same value, where it was made, where it comes from, and all this stuff affects the price of it. So I can really understand the importance of that. The only thing which gets me is the selfies. If I'm really honest, I don't get it. I get that it's fun to give it a go. I'm so for it. I struggle, and I spoke to coin artist Marguerite about it, and I can't get my head around it. Just because the picture already exists online. So I always struggle to wrap my head around the value of it. I don't know. I struggle.
Yeah,
so hard.
I agree with you. But when it comes to, I have to tell you, like I have to confess, I did sell an NFT selfie. That was my first one, and I was just trying out.
Do it. Why not?
I was just I need to try it, and it actually got sold. So it's super good. But now when I think about it after, it's like, don't buy a selfie. I mean, don't buy. But I don't see the value in it either. I really don't. I think that will probably die out soon. That use case, I think it already has pretty much. But yeah, that part I don't understand really either. Well, if you can have like, because now what they do is all kind of digital art and all that, which can be nice as well, but you can just still, you can copy or print screen it and just, use it anyway. But I think when it comes to give value, when it comes to like, you can have digital collectible cards or something that actually has some purpose in a game or something, then it's more usable and I can see a use case for it. But I agree with just a selfie and
It's hard. Like, I think like they say about beauty, I don't know if it's just a British term, but I always compare the two. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And I sort of feel the same sentiment when it comes to NFTs. I really think the value is in the eye of the beholder. Like, there's value in anything whereby someone perceives value in it. So whoever bought your selfie finds value in it, and that's super cool. So maybe make another one. Definitely, if people find value in it, then offer a service where there's value. I just find it. I just struggle to kind of get my head around it. Like, I really get it when it comes to products. And even documents for houses and things like that, and even like domains. Somebody wrote in the comments about unstoppable domains. I get that as well. I really get it. I just struggle when it's things like selfies, just because they've already been posted. I don't know, maybe it's just me. But somebody else put in the comments a really cool topic about earning interest. So I will try to find the question, because I can't remember where it is. But someone asked about how can you earn interest on your cryptocurrency. So I'll kick that one off. Here we go. Can you speak about earning interest on cryptocurrencies? Okay, it's pretty straightforward. So I'll kick that off. I mean, I earn up to 8.6% interest right now on my USDC in BlockFi. I use BlockFi. They do sponsor the show. I'm really open about that. But I actually use them, so I definitely put my money where my mouth is. And I think they're really great. They pay you monthly. You can get up to $250 when you sign up. You can put Bitcoin in there. You can put Litecoin in there. I think it's either Litecoin or Ethereum. They just increased the amount of interest you can make on there. So I'd recommend them if you want to earn interest. The Bank of England, I believe. So we can get this is an interesting one. So the Bank of England, I think, have just gone down to zero interest. I can't remember. I think it was at 0.01. Now it's completely gone just because of coronavirus and all that. But you're dealing with negative interest rates over there, aren't you?
Yeah. Yes. I think for the last, 5 years, something. Yeah, it's horrible, but it's everyday life here now. So yeah, that was what I wanted to like answer right away. Like, earning interest, yeah, that's nothing that we do, regular people do in Sweden. But of course, there are other ways to it. And I have to say that I'm not that don't know about that many like opportunities to earn interest when it comes to crypto, except BlockFi actually, because I did research them one time, and I have had a meeting with someone from their team who explained it really well. And yeah, so I think that's definitely one of the best ways to take a look at if you want to earn it. And yeah, their platform.
Which do you use? What do you use?
So BlockFi.
You use BlockFi?
Yeah. So that's the
okay, awesome.
like basically the only one I know. But there are more. Nexo, I think, or what are there more? So
you can use crypto.com as well.
Yeah.
But there's quite a lot, but the fees are different. And you have to. So with crypto.com, you can choose to get more interest. So you can get a high percentage if you lock in for 3 months. So it really depends. So there's another question here about Link, which I think is Celsius, by the way, guys, is a good one. Someone's just dropped that below. Celsius is also a really good one. Alex Mashinsky is cool. So
that's true. That's
a good one. Okay, wait. Somebody asked about Link, so I can chat about Link. I don't know. Do you want to give your thoughts first, or do you want me to go for it?
You can go ahead. I don't know.
Yeah, so I think Link's really interesting. I hold Link. I'm always really open about what I do and don't hold. I don't know whether I think it's interesting. That's kind of like the extent to that I will say. I think if DeFi really takes off, I think right now DeFi is still very experimental. But if it does take off, then I think there is a need for projects like Link. I think there is I think there's a need for it. Sorry. So Link have that first mover advantage. So I know there are obviously competitors like Band, Protocol, and so on, but Link do have that first mover advantage. So if DeFi takes off, then Link is going to be that. Well, it already is that go-to. But I don't know, because it's still really experimental. Is that Ivan behind you?
Yeah, that was Ivan.
Hey, Ivan.
It was like, hello. Yeah. Layah says hello. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Ivan. That's cool. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Link. I don't know if you're watching any other alts other than ETH.
I do watch, and but I don't hold any link. I have to say that right away. I have thought about it, but I feel like I'm a little bit late to the party. Probably not, but it just feels like a little bit too late. But I totally understand the like Oracle networks and all that. It's a good purpose and all that. So I think we'll definitely perform good, probably. Yeah. But I don't hold any.
What are you holding? Someone's asking, what's in your bag, ladies? Tell us.
So yeah, mostly Bitcoin and ETH, but I also do have some other smaller alts. I have Poo. I do have what else? What else? Now, since recently, I have also Xcure or Create.
Oh, cool. Damn, so you're really Bitcoin and ETH then. If you can't think of it off the top of your head, you're really Bitcoin and ETH.
Yeah. I think I don't have anything else. Yeah, but I'm really Bitcoin and ETH. Yeah, definitely, because I think like long term, that's nice to hold. I think with alts, yeah, you can make really good gains. You can, but you really need to also like all the time follow, and it's a little bit stressful. But yeah, if you find like projects you like, of course. Probably now I'm thinking that I should have got into Polkadot before. Now I'm a little bit like it's too late. But I know I remember like yeah, but yeah, I know. But I kind of feel like I don't know if we really have like topped now, because we do see a lot of alts performing like crazy well. So I'm a little bit
we're in the
cautious.
heart of the bull market as well. So
yeah. So I'm a little bit cautious. But I remember I was looking into DOT in September, and yeah, I should have got in. But yeah, no, it's all right. It's right. I love my Bitcoin and ETH, so it's all good.
That's good. I think when people ask me what I own, so Bitcoin and ETH, obviously. And then I do own a few alts, but I don't watch them at all. So I own ADA, right? Okay. And somebody that I follow tweeted that ADA was up, and I was like, oh my God, like I haven't even looked at that. I don't watch them. I just have them because I don't know, I was just like playing around. So I bought a few. So I bought Link, I bought ADA, I hold ICX because I am a fan of the project. I do quite a bit of work with them. Everyone knows I'm quite open about that. And this is a strange one that I own. Again, this isn't financial advice, but I own one, which is Harmony's native token, just because back in July last year, I was supposed to do an interview with them. So I was like, I'll buy some. So I bought some and nothing's really happened. I wonder if I'm missing any. I own Plue as well, obviously. I own CRO because I use crypto.com. What have I missed? Oh, I don't. I should own VET, but I don't. That's always a really good one. So there you go. All right, we're coming up to an hour. We've been chatting for a while. Wow. I didn't even notice. Time flies.
Me neither. Really.
Someone asked me why did my YouTube video get removed?
Yes, I want to hear that, because this is always frustrating. Why this
well, I'm not entirely sure why it got removed. It was literally a 60-second TikTok video just saying that, guys, Elon Musk's company Tesla put 1.5 billion in. This will solidify Bitcoin as a store of value, blah blah blah, credibility, la la la. Yeah. And it was doing well. Like it was doing well.
I saw that video.
God, this is cool. Did you? There you go. It was moving.
Yeah. I was thinking like, oh, good, you're posting your TikTok videos on YouTube, and yeah. Okay, so that one got removed. What the heck?
Yeah. Well, and they didn't really say. They were like, it's misleading, and I'm like, everything is really factual here. I was like, everything on, and they still haven't gotten back to me. It's a bit upsetting, to be honest, because I know people talk about, oh, well, you should move to here, you should move to there, and we should, but it's just hard when there's a bigger audience, obviously. And I know somebody has to take the first step, and I appreciate that. But I think, it's difficult to move off of YouTube. So what can you do? Still waiting to hear back?
Yeah, I guess so. And this is your first video getting removed, right? Or yeah, so it's probably, sometimes they just haven't they do it automatically without thinking. And I agree, moving to another platform, it's easier said than done. You kind of still have your audience there, so it will really require a lot of struggle, because usually you get strike on a bit. Oh yeah, but you
it wasn't a strike. They didn't even say, but they didn't say. They said, we're not giving you a strike. I think they thought it was like spam or something. And I'm like, what? There's so much spam on there. How are you How are you
Yeah.
calling me spam when there's so much spam on that? I don't know.
They should like seriously work with their ads, because I see this like Vitalik scam ad all the time when I watch. I don't have YouTube Premium, so
Yeah,
I see the
I
ads.
see it.
And all the time. They should work more on that, because that's really bad. Like the scammers right now, really bad. I don't know if you saw, but I had like there's a lot of people impersonating me, and I had two guys reaching out to me yesterday, and they will literally like sent $1,000 to like a Bitcoin Liz.
Did they
I feel,
actually?
yeah, they did like 2 confirmed cases. There might be more, because it's kind of embarrassing to admit that you did it, because yeah, I mean, yeah, it's insane. So, and they were like complete newcomers to the space, and I feel really, really bad for them. But this is, unfortunately, this is reality in crypto. You need to be cautious. If something seems too good to be true, it is a scam probably. So yeah, they lost their funds. Like, fortunately, it's not that much money, but still, it's significant to some people. So yeah, it's that part.
Just on that point though, so here's something that I experienced, and I want to let you know, and obviously the audience as well, because I experienced a weird one. So there was a scammer, and then somebody with a really, really weird account who had literally just joined. So this happened in January or December, I can't remember. But somebody who, let's say it was January, somebody who had just joined that January 2021 DM'd me and was like, there's a scammer of you. How dare you not tell the community that there's a scammer of you? You owe people money now. People have lost money because of you. And I'm like, are you the scammer? I was like, are you trying to get me? I was like, you know, so it was really, really odd. Like he took like a real personal kind of interest in what was going on. And he'd literally just joined Twitter. As soon as this whole thing had kicked off. So I was kind of just like, I need to block this person. You're quite threatening.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and I don't know if people know, but like, so Liz, you have hundreds of fake accounts. It's unbelievable. They have like 12,000, 13,000 followers.
I know, it's insane. I have seen like 2 of them. One has 12,000, one 13,000, and it takes time. I know they have been around for weeks, and I've asked like everyone I know around me to report it, but still they have been up. I think now one of them at least is gone, but it's insane. It's
impossible to stay up with it all. It's impossible to keep posting. So I think, and what I've noticed a lot of people do, they just leave it now, and just sort of hope that everybody just gets the gist when you're in crypto. This sort of happens. So yeah, I don't know. I thought it was really strange. This guy just pressuring me to announce this and that, otherwise I owe people money. I was like, wow, this is, I swear.
Yeah,
this is
probably
a scam.
was a scammer. He wanted you to say, or he or she wanted you to say something specific that he or she can use against you or something. But yeah, they're getting smarter, they're more clever. Yeah, sorry.
Literally, they are getting smarter. So guys, please be mindful. Liz and I will never ask you for money. Nobody will ask you for money. Nobody will ask you for any private details. Nobody will ask you for any sensitive information, where you live and so on. So, and if it does, like Liz said, if it does sound too good to be true, it probably is. And also, here's a funny one. If they start the message off with, how's your trade going?
Yeah. Big red flag. Yeah. Big red flag.
Conversation like that. Anyway,
no
Liz,
cares.
where can people find you? What are your final words?
Yeah, so everyone can find me on Twitter, Liz Bitcoin, and YouTube. I've started to upload a little bit more like short videos when I feel for it. It's also Bitcoin Liz there, and Instagram as well, but mostly Twitter and YouTube now. Yeah, it has been great hanging out with you. It was fun.
Yeah, it's been great having you. Thanks so much for joining me. It's been super chill. Thank you everyone for watching, and thank you so much for your comments and your questions. It's been really nice just to keep it casual, keep it nice and informal. So there you go, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Liz, thanks for coming. And thank you to my sponsors. I will see you all next week on Thursday. Peace. Mwah.